There are 5 SUVs sitting on used car lots right now that nobody wants, and every mechanic I know is quietly recommending them to family. These aren't project trucks that'll nickel and dime you. These aren't good for the price if you squint compromises. I'm talking about SUVs with Toyota-level drivetrains, Honda reliability, and real utility selling for half what they're worth because the average buyer doesn't understand what they're looking at. After 22 years wrenching on everything from mall crawlers to real off-roaders, I've watched people overpay for used 4Runners and CR-Vs while these 5 just depreciate into goldmine territory. Today I'm counting down the 5 most underrated cheap SUVs on the market, the ones that offer Lexus bones at Kia prices. And number 1, that's the SUV I've personally recommended to at least 15 customers in the last 3 years. Not one has come back with a major repair bill. Not one. Let's get into it. Number 5 is an SUV that looks weird, drives weird, and depreciates like it's contaminated. But the 2.4-liter engine under the hood is the same bulletproof K-Series that powered a million Accords and CR-Vs, and you can buy one right now for under $7 grand. I had a guy come into my shop last year, early 30s, worked in construction, needed something cheap that could haul tools and handle job site abuse. He was looking at beat-up Jeep Wranglers and old Cherokees with 180,000 miles for $10,000. I told him straight, "You're about to buy someone else's nightmare." Then I showed him a 2008 Honda Element EX with 112,000 miles listed for $6,800. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "That thing's ugly." I said, "Yeah, and that's why it's $6 grand instead of 12. He test drove it, bought it the next day. That was 16 months ago. Know what he spent on repairs? $220, front brakes and a cabin air filter. Here's what most people don't understand about the Element. Honda built this thing from 2003 to 2011 as a utilitarian box on wheels. It rides on a modified CR-V platform, but it's tougher. The floor is textured plastic you can literally hose out. The rear seats fold up against the walls like a cargo van. The rear doors are suicide doors with no center pillar, so you can load a motorcycle, a couch, 8-foot lumber, anything. And under the hood sits the K24 2.4-liter 4-cylinder that Honda put in everything reliable they made for a decade. This engine doesn't have turbo failures, doesn't have timing belt intervals, doesn't have oil consumption issues past 2008. It just runs. The 5-speed automatic is Honda's own, not some cost-cut CVT experiment. I've seen Elements go 300,000 miles on original transmissions. Not heard about, seen them in my bay. Current market prices will shock you. A 2008 Element EX with 100,000 miles, you're looking at $6,500 to $8,500. Compare that to a same year CR-V with similar miles, $9,000 to $11,000. That's a $3,000 discount for the same reliability just because it looks like a toaster. Repair costs are dirt cheap because it shares parts with the CR-V and Accord. Timing chain tensioner, if it ever needs it, $280 parts and labor. Alternator, $320. Struts, $450 for both fronts installed. Nothing breaks the bank. If you're shopping for one, here's what to check. First, look at the rear subframe for rust. 2003 to 2006 models in salt states can develop corrosion. 2007 and newer, Honda fixed it. Second, test the all-wheel drive system if it has it. Put it in reverse, turn the wheel full lock, and creep backward. If you hear clunking, the rear differential fluid was neglected. Not a deal breaker, but negotiate $200 off for a fluid change. Third, check the A-frame tailgate hinges. They can sag over time. If it doesn't close flush, that's an adjustment, not a replacement. Who should buy this? Anyone who needs cargo space without buying a full-size truck. Contractors, outdoor people, dog owners, anyone who values function over image. Who should skip it? If you care about aesthetics or fuel economy above 24 miles per gallon highway, this isn't your SUV. But if you want a $7,000 Honda that'll run another 150,000 miles with just oil changes, the Element is criminally underpriced. Now, if the Element proved cheap SUVs can be reliable, this next one proves they can also handle like a sports car. And the depreciation on these is so insulting, I've started buying them for relatives. Number 4 has some of the lowest repair costs of any compact SUV on the road. Lower than CR-V, lower than RAV4, and it drives better than both combined. 2 years ago, a woman came in, mid-40s, needed something for her teenage daughter heading to college. Budget was $13,000. She wanted a CR-V or RAV4 because that's what everyone buys. I pulled up listings on my phone and showed her CR-Vs with 110,000 miles for $14,000. Then I showed her a 2015 Mazda CX-5, touring with 68,000 miles for $11,200. Same reliability, better handling, $2,800 less. She pushed back. I've never heard of anyone buying a Mazda. I said, exactly, that's why it's cheap. She bought it. Her daughter's been driving it for 2 years now. 0 repairs, just tires and oil changes. The first generation CX-5 2013 to 2016 is one of the most overlooked compact SUVs in America. Mazda built it with their Skyactiv 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, the same engine that powers the Mazda 6. This engine doesn't use a turbo that can fail. It doesn't use a CVT that whines and slips. It uses a traditional 6-speed automatic with a torque converter, and it's bulletproof. The compression ratio is 13:1, which sounds high, but it's engineered to run on regular 87 octane without knocking. Better efficiency, better power, 0 compromises. Here's the part nobody talks about: the CX-5 handles. This isn't a floaty, soft SUV that leans in corners. Mazda tuned the suspension for driver engagement. It corners flat, the steering is precise, and it feels like a car, not a truck. My wife drives a 2014 CX-5 and she refuses to trade it for anything else. Market prices right now are absurd. A 2015 CX-5, touring with 75,000 miles, $11,000 to $13,000. A same year CR-V EX with similar miles, $15,000 to $17,000. That's a $4,000 difference for a vehicle that, in my shop, costs less to maintain. The most expensive repair I've done on a Skyactiv CX-5 was a water pump at 148,000 miles, $620 parts and labor. The average surprise repair on a same-age CR-V, $980. When you're inspecting a used CX-5, pay attention to 3 things. First, check the infotainment knob. If it's sticky or unresponsive, the previous owner abused it. Not mechanical, but tells you how they treated the car. Second, look at the front lower control arm bushings. Some early 2013 models had premature wear. If they're cracked, that's $340 to replace both sides. Third, test drive it on the highway and listen for wind noise around the A-pillars. Some models had seal issues. Mazda fixed it under warranty, so check if it was addressed. Who should buy this? Anyone who wants a compact SUV that's actually fun to drive, but still practical. If you're tired of overpaying for the Toyota badge, this is your answer. Who should skip it? If you need maximum cargo space, the CR-V has slightly more room. If you want the latest safety tech, 2016 and newer have it, but earlier ones don't. And if resale value matters more than ownership cost, stick with Toyota because the market hasn't figured out Mazda reliability yet. Bottom line on the CX-5, buy it for $12,000, drive it 150,000 miles, spend maybe $2,000 on maintenance total. You will not find a better dollar per mile deal in the compact SUV category. Alright, number 4 proved that compact SUVs don't have to be boring appliances. But this next one is for people who actually need an SUV to do SUV things. And it's the last of a dying breed. Number 3 is a body-on-frame truck-based SUV with a V6 that'll run 400,000 miles. And it's selling for half what a same-year 4Runner costs because Nissan's reputation scares people away from their one truly bulletproof model. Last year, a customer came in looking at used 4Runners. 2010 model, 140,000 miles. Dealer wanted $22,000. I put it on the lift, inspected the frame, checked the rear differential. Solid truck, but $22,000? I told him, you're paying $8,000 for the Toyota badge. I showed him a 2010 Nissan Xterra Off-Road with 118,000 miles listed for $11,900. He said, isn't Nissan unreliable? I said, their CVT transmissions are garbage. The Xterra doesn't have one. He bought it. That was 18 months ago. He's at 156,000 miles now. 0 issues. The second generation Xterra, 2005 to 2015, is the last true affordable off-road SUV Nissan made. It rides on a truck chassis shared with the Frontier pickup. The engine is the VQ40DE, a 4.0-liter V6 that won Ward's 10 best engines. The transmission is a 5-speed automatic, not a CVT. This is old-school truck engineering, the kind that actually lasts. Here's what mechanics know that buyers don't. The Xterra shares its platform and drivetrain with the Frontier, which is one of the most reliable mid-size trucks on the road. The VQ40DE has a timing chain, not a belt, so there's no $1,200 replacement interval. It doesn't have complex emission systems that fail. It's a naturally aspirated V6 that makes 261 horsepower and just runs forever. I've seen Xterras with over 350,000 miles still on original engines and transmissions. Current pricing is insulting to 4Runner owners. A 2012 Xterra Pro 4X with 100,000 miles. $13,000 to $15,000. A 2012 4Runner SR5 with similar miles, $26,000 to $29,000. That's a $13,000 difference for vehicles with similar off-road capability. Yes, the 4Runner holds value better, but if you're buying to keep it, not flip it, why pay double? Repair costs are dirt cheap. Front wheel bearings, $380 for both sides. Rear differential service, $140. Radiator, if it ever leaks, $450 installed. The most common issue is the timing chain tensioner getting noisy past 150,000 miles. That's a $680 job, and it's preventive, not a failure. Here's your inspection checklist. First, check for the strawberry milkshake of death. Early 2005 to 2010 models had a transmission cooler inside the radiator that could fail and mix coolant with transmission fluid. If the transmission fluid looks pink or milky, walk away. After 2010, Nissan fixed it. Second, look at the front suspension. The lower ball joints wear, but that's normal on truck-based SUVs. If there's play, negotiate $400 off. Third, check the rear differential for leaks. The pinion seal can seep. Not a big deal, $180 to fix. Who should buy this? Anyone who actually uses an SUV off-road, tows a small trailer, or needs something reliable that can handle abuse. If you want 4Runner capability without 4Runner pricing, this is it. Who should skip it? If you want good fuel economy, the Xterra gets 16 city, 22 highway. If you need third row seating, it doesn't have it. And if resale value is your priority, buy the 4Runner and accept you're overpaying. Mechanic truth on the Xterra. It's the last affordable body-on-frame SUV that isn't a Jeep. Buy it, maintain it, and it'll outlast most modern crossovers. So that was number 3, the last real SUV you can buy cheap. But if you don't need off-road capability and just want something comfortable, reliable, and dirt cheap to run, this next one is a hidden goldmine. Number 2 is a Korean SUV with a V6 and all-wheel drive selling for $6,000 less than a same-year Honda Pilot. And after watching these in my shop for a decade, I'd take this over the Pilot every single time. A couple came into my shop 6 months ago, looking at used 3-row SUVs for their growing family. They'd been shopping Pilots and Highlanders with 120,000 miles for $18,000 to $20,000. I asked if they'd considered the Hyundai Santa Fe. They both laughed. Hyundai? I walked them outside and pointed at a customer's 2016 Santa Fe Limited with 147,000 miles getting an oil change. I told them the owner bought it with 40,000 miles 4 years ago and had spent $1,400 total on repairs. Alternator, brakes, tires. That's it. They bought a 2015 Santa Fe Sport with 81,000 miles for $11,800. Texted me last week. They're at 118,000 miles, 0 issues. The third generation Santa Fe Sport, 2013 to 2018, is one of the most underrated 3-row SUVs on the market. It came with 2 engine options, a 2.0-liter turbo 4-cylinder or a 3.3-liter V6. The V6 is what you want. It's the Lambda 2 engine, the same one Hyundai put in the Genesis sedan. It makes 290 horsepower, uses a timing chain, and doesn't have the turbo complexity that can fail. The 6-speed automatic is Hyundai's own design, proven over 1 million units. Here's what shocks people. Hyundai's V6 SUVs from this era are as reliable as Honda and Toyota, but nobody believes it because they remember Hyundai from the 1990s. That reputation is 25 years out of date. Modern Hyundais, especially the V6 models, run forever. The Santa Fe shares a platform with the Kia Sorento, and both are rock solid. Market prices are a joke compared to competitors. A 2016 Santa Fe Limited V6 with 90,000 miles, $12,000 to $14,000. A 2016 Honda Pilot EXL with similar miles, $19,000 to $22,000. That's a $7,000 to $8,000 difference for comparable features and seating. Repair costs are also cheaper. Alternator on the Santa Fe, $340. On the Pilot, $480. Transmission service on the Santa Fe, $160. On the Pilot, $220. Everything costs less because Hyundai prices parts to compete, not to maximize dealer profit. When you're shopping for one, here's what to look for. First, check the maintenance records for oil changes. The 2.0 turbo engine can have issues if oil changes were skipped, but the V6 is forgiving. Second, test the all-wheel drive system. Drive it in a tight circle at low speed. If you hear clunking or binding, the center coupling may need service. That's $280. Third, check the panoramic sunroof if it has one. Some models had drain tube clogs that caused leaks. Make sure the headliner is dry. Who should buy this? Families who need 3 rows but don't want to spend $20,000. Anyone who wants a comfortable highway cruiser with good features at a budget price. People smart enough to look past brand badges. Who should skip it? If you absolutely need Honda or Toyota for resale value, this won't hold as well. If you want best-in-class reliability, the V6 Santa Fe is excellent, but the Pilot has a slight edge in long-term durability past 200,000 miles. Here's my honest take. The Santa Fe V6 is 90% of a Pilot for 60% of the price. For most buyers, that math makes sense. Before we get to number 1, if you're finding this helpful, hit subscribe. I've got more videos coming on the vehicles dealers push versus the ones that actually make financial sense. Alright, number 1. This is the SUV I recommend more than any other when someone asks what to buy, and almost everyone pushes back until they see the numbers. Number 1 is a Toyota-built SUV with a Camry drivetrain, optional V6 and all-wheel drive, more space than a RAV4, and it's selling for $8,000 less than either because nobody under 60 knows it exists. Let me tell you about the customer who almost walked away from this SUV. 3 years ago, a guy in his early 50s came in needing something reliable for a 70-mile daily commute. He'd been looking at Highlanders and RAV4s with a budget of $16,000. I asked if he'd considered the Venza. He said, "What's a Venza?" I pulled one up on my phone, a 2013 V6 AWD with 89,000 miles for $10,200. He said, "I've never even heard of that." I told him, "That's exactly why it's $6,000 cheaper than the RAV4 you were looking at." He bought it the next week. That was 3 years ago. He just hit 187,000 miles. Total repair costs, $1,350. And that included a full brake job and new struts. The first-generation Toyota Venza, 2009 to 2015, is the single most underrated SUV Toyota ever built. It rides on a stretched Camry platform with a higher ride height and optional all-wheel drive. It came with 2 engines, a 2.7-liter 4-cylinder or a 3.5-liter V6. The V6 is what you want. It's the 2GRFE, the same engine in the Camry V6, the Avalon, the Highlander, and the Lexus RX 350. This is one of the most reliable V6 engines Toyota has ever made. It doesn't have direct injection carbon buildup, it doesn't have timing belt intervals, it doesn't have turbo failures, it just runs. I've personally worked on 4 Venzas past 300,000 miles. All original engines, all original transmissions. Here's why this is a gold mine. The Venza has more cargo space than a RAV4, more interior room than a Highlander, the same drivetrain as a Lexus RX, and it costs half what any of those sell for. Why? Because Toyota marketed it terribly. They didn't call it an SUV, they called it a crossover wagon. Dealers didn't know how to position it. Buyers didn't understand what it was. So it sold poorly. Toyota discontinued it in 2015, and now they sit on used lots depreciating into oblivion, while RAV4s hold value like gold bars. Let's talk real numbers. A 2013 Venza XLE V6 AWD with 90,000 miles, $10,000 to $12,000. A 2013 RAV4 Limited V6 AWD with similar miles, $16,000 to $18,000. That's a $6,000 difference for a mechanically superior vehicle with more space. A 2013 Highlander with similar miles, $18,000 to $21,000. The Venza costs half. Repair costs are identical to the Camry. Water pump, $580. Alternator, $320. Transmission fluid change, $180. Front struts, $650 for both installed. Everything is Camry priced because it uses Camry parts. The most expensive repair I've seen on a Venza was a starter motor at 220,000 miles. $3 $40 Here's your buying checklist. First, check for oil leaks around the valve covers. The 2GRFE can develop minor seepage past 150,000 miles. Not a failure, just a maintenance item. $480 to replace both gaskets. Second, test the all-wheel drive system if it has it. Drive in a tight circle at low speed. Smooth operation means it's good. Binding means the center coupling needs service, $380. Third, check the panoramic sunroof on higher trims. Some had drain tube issues that caused leaks. Look for water stains on the headliner. Who should buy this? Highway commuters who need space and comfort. Anyone who wants Lexus reliability without Lexus pricing. People who need more room than a RAV4 without buying a full-size SUV. Anyone smart enough to ignore depreciation curves and focus on total cost of ownership. Who should skip it? If you're under 30 and care what people think, the Venza looks like a mom car. If you need serious off-road capability, it's not built for that. And if you live in tight city parking, it's bigger than a RAV4. Here's my final take on the Venza. This is the best used SUV you can buy under $12,000. Full-size space, Toyota reliability, Camry parts pricing, and depreciation that only makes sense if buyers are idiots. I've recommended this SUV to 15 customers in 3 years. Not one has had a major repair. Not one. If I had to buy one SUV right now to drive for the next 10 years with the lowest total cost of ownership, I'd buy another Venza and sleep well at night. So there you have it. 5 cheap SUVs that the market forgot, but mechanics didn't. The Honda Element with K-Series reliability and cargo space for days. The Mazda CX-5 that handles like a Miata and costs like a Kia. The Nissan Xterra, the last real SUV you can buy for under 15 grand. The Hyundai Santa Fe V6 that's 90% of a Pilot for 60% of the price. And the Toyota Venza, the most underrated SUV Toyota ever built. You now know 5 SUVs you can buy for under $13,000 that will outlast crossovers twice their price. Next time a dealer tries to sell you a used CR-V with 130,000 miles for $17,000, you'll know better. If you want to see which SUVs have actually earned legendary status in the shop, I did a whole video on that. That's 22 years of watching SUVs come and go, the ones that refuse to die. Hit subscribe if this helped, and I'll keep giving you the truth dealers won't. Drive safe, take care of your SUV, and it'll take care of you.